Good morning. I am Chris Steyerwalt, and these are your buzz cuts from Fox News First. Off the top, talk about job lock. Hiring slumps again. Boo. Boo, January jobs report. A scant 115,000 jobs added to the U.S. economy. That's less than half of what the economy needs to add to keep pace with the growing U.S. population. It's bad. And why is it bad? It's bad because more people continue to leave the workforce. That comes at the same time that the administration is talking about how it's good if people are freed from having to work. So we're getting a real-time debate on a real-time topic. Peters shows when Obama brings the bacon. That's bacon, and you know it's delicious. You know it's delicious. But Congressman Peters is running for the United States Senate. The president is going to be in his home state of Michigan today. And he, unlike other Democrats, is actually showing up to be with the president when he appears at a bill signing at the Michigan State University. Peters is behind in most recent election polling in what is normally a heavily Democratic state. And The Hill surmises that it's to try to increase turnout among African-American voters with whom the president is still very popular. Pryor breaks with Dems on minimum wage. Now, this is a big deal. Mark Pryor, senator from Arkansas, says that he is not behind President Obama's request to increase the federal minimum wage. Pryor, who is heavily patronized by the good people of Walmart, says that he doesn't think that it's time to move the minimum wage to $10.10 an hour. This will provide insulation from Republicans on attacks about the minimum wage because they'll just say, I agree with my colleague from Arkansas. Udall on the rocks. Colorado Senator Mark Udall. Whoa. That happened. A new Quinnipiac poll shows him in trouble. Udall previously thought safe. He's shown barely ahead, 2 points ahead. Little-known challengers on the Republican field. This one is going to be in play. And last, but you know definitely not least, and you know about this one, but we would be remiss not to share it. Joe Biden was speaking about the need for infrastructural investment, and he said, if I blindfolded someone, why are you blindfolding people, but whatever, if I blindfolded someone and took him at 2 o'clock in the morning to an airport in Hong Kong and said, where do you think you are? He would again say, why did you blindfold me and take me to an airport, Joe Biden? But no, he'd say, this must be America. It's a modern airport. If I took him blindfolded and took you to LaGuardia Airport in New York, you must think I must be in some third world country. I'm not joking, said Joe Biden, and he wasn't. And neither are we, that you would have that already. If you were a subscriber to Fox News First, it's great. Do it. We'll rock your party each morning in your inbox, Internet. So do that, but we're going to do it all right now because it's Power Play.
The report says that in addition to substantially cutting the deficit, in addition to spurring job creation and economic growth in the near term, in addition to ensuring millions of Americans, the Affordable Care Act in later years will provide freedom, choice, and opportunity to Americans that they did not previously have.
And that was White House Press Secretary Jay Carney, a previous press conference talking about the freedom to not work, that Americans, because of Obamacare, will be able not to work, not to seek work, because they'll have health insurance because of the law. This is Power Play. Welcome to the Batcave. It's Friday. That means that we are collecting the week and looking forward to the week ahead. That means we need wise people. We need good counsel. A good place to start for that is our own senior White House correspondent, Ed Henry. Brother Henry, are you out there?
Good to see you. Yeah, I'm there. You know, is there going to be a New York Daily News headline like President Ford? Ford to New York dropped dead? Are we going to end up hearing Biden to New York? You're in a third world country or something?
I just want to know why Biden is blindfolding all these people and taking them to airports. It sounds like
scary.
I haven't even ever thought about that. Yeah, I mean, is this like a rendition thing? I don't know. But my question for you, you led the charge, and your peers inside the White House press corps followed suit in questioning the administration about their take on the CBO report that found that Obamacare would cause people to leave the workforce. We see a jobs report. We see a jobs report today, Brother Henry, that suggests that people are leaving the workforce. That in fact the workforce is shrinking.
It's been shrinking. It's been shrinking for a long time. I think the positive they would try to take out of this is that the labor participation rate actually went up slightly in January. I think it was 0.2%, but obviously in the grand scheme of the economy, that is paltry, that is small, that is not going to make a difference. And so the bottom line is they're going to try to tout these numbers and say, look, and there is some positives. Manufacturing jobs are up a little bit. Overall, you've got more than 100,000 jobs created. At least it's not where we were a couple of years ago, where you're going backwards, you're losing jobs. There was that 1 month a couple of years ago where there were no new jobs created, but that's a low bar. And
better
as you
than
say,
nothing.
If you create over 100,000 jobs, you're still far below what you need to keep up with the U.S. population. So look, this is of a piece with the whole healthcare fight, because the administration is making the claim that not just healthcare costs are coming down, but this is going to help the economy long term because people have health security, and that may be a positive for some people. But the argument that was going on this week was when Jason Furman talked about this CBO report that said that work will be discouraged for some people. He used the example of somebody who was working 60 hours a week without health care insurance, who might go down to a part-time job, 35 hours, say, he said, with health insurance this time. And he was telling us this was a great thing in the White House briefing room. And I just asked him straightforwardly, isn't that person who's going from 60 hours to 35 hours a week making a lot less money? Isn't that less money they're going to have to spend at restaurants and retail stores, and less money they have to put away for college for their kids? And at first he said, well, that's a hypothetical. And I said, it was your hypothetical. It was the example you cited. And so anyway, I think the bottom line is, after the CBO report and all the other back and forth on healthcare this week, now this jobs report, the bottom line is the economy is still running in place in some ways. There's a recovery, but it's a very weak recovery. So the president will be in Michigan today talking up the economy, but he's much the same place he's been the last 5 years. Sure, things are better than the Great Recession, but they're nowhere where even he predicted they'd be, or where any economist will tell you we need to be. And in terms of healthcare, it's still a very shaky factor for him when you talk about Mark Udall, Mark Pryor, all these vulnerable Democrats in the Senate. Healthcare, jobs will be big issues, and the president's still struggling on those, Chris.
Cheerfully skeptical, unstinting in his excellence, Ed Henry. We thank you for making time for us today. Have a great Friday.
Anytime.
All right, you know who I am glad has not been freed from work? And I hope that not for a long time he will not be freed from work, is Matthew Continetti. He is the editor-in-chief of the Washington Free Beacon. Do you guys do you have a definite article? Are you the Free Beacon, or do you just
We are the Washington Free Beacon.
Okay,
so Free Beacon.
Well, that's okay, but there's been There's been an aggressive dropping of these out there, and
I love the definite article.
Yeah, it's definite.
I'm a
it's
major
the
supporter.
Free Beacon. Yeah, come on.
You can also
suckers.
call us Free Bacon.
Yeah, you can.
People do that.
I've seen that, and I want to tell you this: your Twitter followers will go way up if you just make the switch.
We were
just
thinking
go with
about
Free
it.
Bacon, or have an account that's just the Free Bacon.
We
account.
wanted to give a bacon giveaway. Maybe it's time to bring that back.
I'm kind of into that, and
literally provide people with free bacon.
Free bacon, bringing home the bacon. Now, speaking of bringing home the bacon, Democrats at the beginning, when the CBO report came out, blanched because it said the people were losing jobs. And then they said, but wait a minute, the people aren't really losing jobs. What they're doing is choosing not to work.
Right.
And that's good because they'll be freed from having to work. And then Republicans said, wait, what? You think that's good? Shouldn't people work? And we've had an interesting discussion that's still going on about the merits of work versus not work. And there's the economic one that Ed Henry talked about, which is it's good for the economy and economic growth. But also there is a cultural argument here about what happens when people don't work.
There's a cultural argument. There's a philosophical argument. I think the Democrats, after being kind of blindsided by the CBO report, Chris, said kind of reverted that old cliche that the best defense is a good offense.
Yeah.
And so what you saw them is kind of spin on a dime and start adopting Republican rhetoric.
Exactly.
Listen to Jake Harney in that clip we played. Freedom, opportunity, choice. Who does that sound like? But of course, it's the freedom to be unemployed.
Right.
It's the freedom to have taxpayers pay for your health care.
Right.
You know, when conservatives talk about job lock, which is real, which is that people don't take another job because they have a good health care plan with the job that they're in, the choice is between two jobs. It's not between a job and not working because you're on Obamacare. So I think this is a winning issue for conservatives and Republicans.
All right, so this jobs report You can say 0.2% labor force participation rate. You can say whatever. 90,000 people left the workforce.
Right.
That's what the report says. So you got 90,000 people. We continue to have this collapsing workforce. We continue to see things like, and especially among men, and especially among young men, not working. They're not working. They're not going to work. In some cases, as many as 20% of men are not engaged in the workforce. They're out. There are cultural consequences to having men do that, right?
Sure.
For families, for how your culture works, and all of that stuff.
They don't make very good husbands or prospective husbands if they're not working.
Yeah.
And so that goes along with the rise of single
That's why you
motherhood
work.
and such in our society. I mean, the job. Two things about the job. The job report. One, look how our expectations have fallen.
Right.
You know, they revised the previous month up 1,000 jobs, and all of a sudden that's a success.
Right.
0.2 increase in the work participation rate. Yay,
Here we
we're
go.
on the right
Here we
track. It is an age of diminished expectations under this president.
The new normal is stinky. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, you know what we're going to do? Matthew's going to stay with us so we can talk about this question. They are talking about a 3-year delay in a key provision of the president's health law, which is the part that bans insurance policies that don't meet Obamacare requirements, that would actually take them past the 2016 election even. Why wait? Why wait, indeed? So we'll talk about that when we come back, so stick around.